These 15 spaghetti westerns are handpicked by Quentin Tarantino, films that redefine the genre with epic standoffs, unforgettable music, and bold directors. One sparked his own movie ideas, and his number one choice, a western masterpiece he calls cinema's peak. Let's begin with 15, The Grand Duel, 1972. A dusty old town, a corrupt sheriff. Lee Van Cleef walking in like he owns the place. Directed by Giancarlo Santi, who once worked under Sergio Leone, The Grand Duel mixes revenge with political games. The music by Luis Bacalov is pure gold, so good Tarantino used it in Kill Bill Volume 1. This movie was shot in only 8 weeks but feels bigger, with careful tension building until one explosive showdown. Tarantino loves how it never rushes. Fun fact, Santi was supposed to direct Duck, You Sucker, before Leone took over. From a hot desert duel, we now head to the snow, where the silence hides something unforgettable. Moving on to 14, The Great Silence, 1968. A mute gunslinger, snow everywhere, and an ending no one saw coming. Sergio Corbucci's. The Great Silence is unlike any Western before it. Jean-Louis Trintignant plays Silence, a bounty hunter protecting outlaws from Klaus Kinski's cold-blooded villain. Tarantino used this movie as inspiration for The Hateful Eight, even the snowbound setting. They filmed in real blizzards in the Italian Alps, where it dropped to minus 22 degrees Fahrenheit. Ennio Morricone's sad, beautiful music makes the whole film feel haunting. The ending was so dark that some countries demanded a happy version. Tarantino loves that Corbucci stuck with the original in Italy. It's pure bravery in filmmaking. From frozen tragedy, we now head into the mud, lies, and raw grit of an outlaw story. Now at 13, The Dirty Outlaws, 1967. Also called El Desperado, this gritty spaghetti western is one of Tarantino's deep-cut favorites. Directed by Franco Rossetti, it tells of a cunning outlaw who pretends to be a Confederate soldier to steal gold hidden during the Civil War. Shot in rural Italy on a low budget, it makes up for money with dirt-covered realism, muddy streets, unshaven faces, and sudden bursts of violence. Its unpredictable betrayals and raw camera work give it a rough edge that feels almost documentary-like. Tarantino admires how Rossetti captured greed without glamour, making every character morally suspect. The film's unpolished style influenced later Euro-Westerns that embraced a darker tone. From grime and betrayal, we ride into something completely different, sharp humor with a deadly draw. Moving forward to 12 A Pistol for Ringo, 1965. Duccio Tesseri's A Pistol for Ringo blends comedy and action in a way most spaghetti westerns never dared. Giuliano Gemma plays Ringo, a smooth-talking gunman who drinks milk, plays hopscotch, and kills with perfect accuracy. It became one of Italy's biggest box office hits of 1965, earning enough to greenlight a sequel almost immediately. The film was shot quickly on Spanish locations that doubled as the American West, giving it a bright, sunlit look unusual for the genre. Tarantino praises Tesseri's mix of lighthearted charm and sudden bursts of violence, something few westerns balanced well. Ennio Morricone's playful, whistle-filled score perfectly matches Ringo's sly grin and quick trigger, and just like that, the light fades. We're heading into a chase that's all grit and suspicion. Let's move on to 11, The Big Gundown, 1966. Sergio Solima's The Big Gundown pairs Lee Van Cleef with Cuban-born star Thomas Millian in a tense game of pursuit. Van Cleef plays a relentless bounty hunter chasing Millian's wily outlaw across Mexico. More than a chase story, it hides sharp political commentary about class and prejudice. Ennio Morricone's score, less famous than his Leone work, is a hidden masterpiece, weaving Mexican folk elements with spaghetti western drama. Tarantino once screened an uncut print at his Los Angeles theater, saying the film's energy never dips. The original Italian cut runs 110 minutes, much longer than the heavily edited US release, which cut entire subplots. Restored versions today show the full scope Salama intended, making it richer and more complex than many genre entries. Next comes a return, but one darker than the hero expected. Now at 10, The Return of Ringo, 1965. Duccio Tesseri's follow-up to A Pistol for Ringo is no simple sequel. Giuliano Gemma returns, but this time in a much more somber tale inspired by Homer's Odyssey. His character comes back from war to find his home overrun by ruthless bandits. Unlike the sunny charm of the first film, this one drips with melancholy and tension. The Spanish landscapes feel harsher, the music by Ennio Morricone carries more weight, and the violence hits harder. It was filmed quickly to capitalize on the success of the first movie, but it stands on its own as a powerful revenge story. Tarantino admires how it shifts tone completely while keeping the same lead actor and creative team, and now we ride toward a bloody trail of vengeance across the desert. Let's head to 9 Navajo Joe, 1966. Directed by Sergio Corbucci, Navajo Joe stars Burt Reynolds before he became a Hollywood icon. Playing a Native American out for revenge, Reynolds delivers a performance full of raw energy, even though he later admitted he took the role just for the paycheck. The plot is simple but relentless. Joe hunts down the gang that slaughtered his tribe. Filmed in Spain's rugged Almeria region, the movie has a rough, dusty authenticity. Ennio Morricone's score is unforgettable. Tarantino lifted parts of it for Kill Bill. The film's violence was shocking for 1966, with scalpings and close-range gunfights rarely shown in westerns at the time. Critics dismissed it then, but modern fans admire its pulpy, unpolished charm. Now it's time for a revenge story built on patience and precision. Moving over to 8, Death Rides a Horse, 1967, Giulio Petroni's. Death Rides a Horse pairs Lee Van Cleef with John Philip Law in a slow-burning revenge hunt. Law's character witnessed his family's murder as a child and spends years tracking down the killers. Van Cleef, older and sharper, joins him with his own motives. Filmed in both Rome studios and the Spanish countryside, the movie stands out for its visual style, harsh close-ups, sudden bursts of action, and weathered landscapes. Ennio Morricone's music, heavy on haunting guitar riffs, perfectly matches the tension. Tarantino has borrowed imagery from it for Kill Bill, especially the flashback sequences. Its mix of mentorship, grudges, and brutal justice makes it one of the most rewatchable spaghetti westerns of its time. Our next stop takes us to a town where power comes with a dangerous price. On to 7, Day of Anger, 1967. Tonino Valeri's Day of Anger gives us one of Lee Van Cleef's finest mentor roles. He plays Frank Talby, a notorious gunfighter who takes in a young stable boy, played by Giuliano Gemma, and teaches him the deadly skills of the West. But as the boy's power grows, their bond turns into rivalry. Shot in the Spanish desert and Cinecittà Studios in Rome, the film blends coming-of-age tension with classic spaghetti western grit. Riz Ortolani's score swings between hopeful and threatening, mirroring the shifting relationship. Tarantino has praised its apprentice versus master dynamic, which later influenced scenes in his own films. In Italy, it was a box office success, proving Van Cleef's star power was still strong after Leone's Dollars trilogy. The next film rewrote Western history on a shoestring budget. Now at 6A, Fistful of Dollars, 1964, Sergio Leone's A Fistful of Dollars didn't just launch Clint Eastwood's film career, it sparked the entire spaghetti western boom. Adapted from Akira Kurosawa's Yojimbo, it tells of a stranger who plays two rival gangs against each other for profit. Filmed in Spain's Tabernas desert for under $200,000, it went on to gross over $14 million worldwide. Eastwood's Poncho, Cigar, and Squint became global icons. Ennio Morricone's score, with its whistling and whip cracks, redefined Western soundtracks. Initially, U.S. distributors delayed its release due to copyright disputes with Kurosawa, who reportedly earned more from the settlement than Leone did from the film. Tarantino often cites it as a perfect example of style and economy in filmmaking. Now we enter a world where the West becomes an opera of revenge and destiny. Holding the five, Once Upon a Time in the West, 1968, Sergio Leone's Once Upon a Time in the West is a grand operatic vision of the dying frontier. Shot across Monument Valley and European locations, it brought together Charles Bronson, Henry Fonda, and Claudia Cardinale in a sprawling tale of revenge and railroad expansion. Fonda shocked audiences by playing a cold-blooded killer, something Leone insisted on for maximum impact. The opening sequence, nearly 10 minutes without dialogue, remains one of cinema's great lessons in tension. Ennio Morricone composed character-specific themes before filming, allowing actors to perform to the music on set. Initially underappreciated in the US, it later became a critical favorite and one of Tarantino's most referenced westerns. It's a film where every frame feels like the last breath of the Old West. Our next title swaps grandeur for biting humor and quick-fire gunplay. Now to 4, The Mercenary, 1968. Also known as a professional gun, Sergio Corbucci's The Mercenary mixes political revolution with razor-sharp comedy. Franco Nero plays a Polish gun-for-hire drawn into the Mexican Revolution, alongside Tony Musante's idealistic peasant-turned-rebel. The film juggles slapstick moments with sudden, brutal violence, a Corbucci trademark. Ennio Morricone's theme Lorena gained fresh fame decades later when Tarantino used it in Kill Bill Volume. Dusra. Filmed in southern Spain, the production reused sets from other westerns to cut costs while still delivering wide cinematic shots. Tarantino praises Corbucci's balance of satire and action, calling it one of the smartest blends in the genre. Its duels, both comic and deadly serious, still influence action choreography today. Next comes a classic that redefined the genre's boundaries and reached global audiences. Heading into 3 Django, 1966. Sergio Corbucci's Django became one of the most imitated westerns of all time. Franco Nero, only 24, played the drifter dragging a coffin through the mud, inside a hidden machine gun that changes every fight. Shot mostly in Lazio, Italy, the film was made for a fraction of Hollywood budgets but earned over $25 million worldwide. Its extreme violence, including the infamous ear-cutting scene, led to bans in several countries. Despite that, it spawned more than 30 unofficial sequels across Europe and Latin America. Tarantino's Django Unchained is both a tribute and a reinvention, with Nero even making a cameo. The muddy streets, bleak tone, and unforgettable theme song cemented its place as a cult classic. The next film doubles the stakes, with greed and revenge pushing 2 gunmen together. On to 2, For a Few Dollars More, 1965. The middle chapter of Sergio Leone's Dollars trilogy teams. Clint Eastwood's Man with No Name with Lee Van Cleef's Colonel Mortimer. Both hunt the same ruthless outlaw, but for very different reasons. Filmed in Almeria, Spain, the movie expanded Leone's visual style with sweeping crane shots and intricate close-ups. Morricone's score introduced musical watches that play during duels, building unbearable tension. Released in Italy first, it broke box office records before conquering Europe, and then the US. Tarantino loves how the film deepens character motivation compared to A Fistful of Dollars. Behind the scenes, Van Cleef had been semi-retired before this role reignited his career. The result is a richer, more layered Western than its predecessor. Now we arrive at the giant, arguably the most famous spaghetti Western ever made. Closing in on one, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, 1966. Sergio Leone's The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is more than a Western. It's an epic war film wrapped in a treasure hunt. Clint Eastwood, Lee Van Cleef, and Eli Wallach each play a different shade of morality, chasing Confederate gold during the chaos of the American Civil War. Shot across Spain and Italy, with hundreds of Spanish soldiers as extras, the production was enormous for the time. Ennio Morricone's score, especially The Ecstasy of Gold, is now one of the most recognized film themes in history. Released in Italy in 1966, it became a worldwide hit, grossing over $25 million. Tarantino has called it pure cinema, admiring its mix of comedy, violence, and operatic tension. Every frame feels deliberate and unforgettable, and that brings our journey through Tarantino's spaghetti western canon to a close. If you enjoyed uncovering these dusty legends, there's more gold waiting for you. Hit subscribe, ring the bell, and ride with us into the next story.